Hello, hello. Welcome to Closing and Cuddles. Today we are doing our first Minisode. Do you want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, so we had a discussion recently. We filmed the first one. We felt like the long form stuff it's important because it gives us a stage to talk about it at length, but we don't want to be doing that every week. It's a lot of work for us to have to like post produce it. It's a lot for you guys to consume because some of you, maybe agents would consume the whole thing, but
Mm-hmm.
some of our clients, maybe they just want to touch, quick touch. And so that's what this is for. So it's a
Yeah.
little 30-minute segment, more specific about one thing, one topic, as opposed to a bigger outline. So that's what it is. So today we're going to talk about you can go ahead and intro what we're going to be talking about.
Well, I'm really excited because we're going to talk about the state of the market. Is it a good time to buy and sell in November 2022? There's been a lot of talk of recession, inflation, high interest rates. There's a lot of fear going around.
Yep.
And I'm getting calls almost daily, a couple times a week, of clients, both on the buyer side and on the selling side, wanting to know, is this even a good time, Karen? Should I be selling or should I be buying a house? So I thought that today we can talk a little bit about that topic and share a little bit about what we're doing to help buyers and sellers and achieve that next step, which is what we're all about at the Barrios Co. We're all about making sure we're helping you get to that next season, not that next step. We're here to really be of support and make sure that transition is smooth and that stress is off your shoulders, and we take care of everything from point A to point Z.
Yeah, from A to Z. So we felt like that was a good mini-sode to start it off with, just because of what we'll do. Market report's kind of similar, but we feel like this would be a good mini-sode because it's not this long-winded thing. But yeah, I think to kind of intro it, we can't speak for the whole market. We can't speak for where you live.
Right.
And I think that's the answer probably nobody wants to hear, because it's like, well, should I buy or should I not buy? Should I sell or should I not sell? And I think the short answer, if you don't want to watch 15 minutes of video, is probably it really does depend on where you live and your current circumstances. That's the short answer.
It really goes back to you. Like what are your family goals? What's going on in your life? And is it the right time for you? Because the real estate market, this is the wonderful thing about it. And I did a reel and talking about this, and that life still goes on, right? Everybody, even though holidays are coming up and some sellers are thinking, oh my goodness, it's probably not the best time. Thanksgiving's around the corner, Christmas is around the corner, and winter. And there's a lot of fear with, is it a good time? But I always tell my clients there's a lot happening right now. People are getting promotions. We're seeing relocations. We're seeing people decide to move and finally take that leap and start the next year fresh somewhere else. And this is probably outside of just the summertime and fall time, which are always my busiest times, in Pine Mountain Club and now in Bakersfield. But right now I am busy. Like I'm really busy.
Super busy.
Super busy. Like I'm getting calls almost every day, buyers, sellers.
Unprecedented too. This is usually
and then
the slowest time of the year.
And I think that there's just a lot of conversations happening. So it really goes back to you need to make sure it's the right time for you. You got to look at your life. And I always tell my buyers and sellers that you got to look at your holistic, just what's going on in your life.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like any realtor that has any sensible credibility, they can't advise you if they don't live where you live. That's just the bottom line. So I don't know if you're in Florida or New York, it might still be a killer time to buy. If you're in Pine Mountain Club, it for sure is, because we're getting our buyers probably some of the best deals I've ever seen since we've lived there. Because for a while, it was just like to the moon. Everything was to the moon as far as price was concerned.
No buyer could afford to move to Pine Mountain, even though it was such an affordable and an incredible opportunity. A lot of my buyers were feeling like, Karen, I don't want to remove all my contingencies. And actually, I never really did that for any buyer, because buying a property in the mountains is very unique. You have to have a skill. Like you have to have a skilled realtor to do that. And even though there's things that I advise my clients, I mean, I just had a client call me the other day and about a situation with their fireplace.
Hmm.
And I mean, of course, I want to be of service, but there's things that during the buying process you advise, and there's only so much you can push a buyer to do
Yeah.
something. And that's why you want to make sure that your agent knows and advises you the best that they can. And even then, I mean, we're human, so there's things that are constantly changing. I just sent a couple of emails the other day too about some inspections that Kern County now is implementing in our specific area in
Yeah.
Pine Mountain. So there's a lot of things that you just have to be updated with. So
Yeah.
it
So
really just goes back to having an agent that is going to support you in that market. And where we live and breathe Pine Mountain Club, Fraser Park, any of the Fraser Mountain communities we service. And we also now service Bakersfield, which many of you
mhm.
know. And I have a listing coming up, which I'm so excited to share with you guys. And we're working on it with this family, but it's an incredible property. So I'm excited to bring that up. But
Yeah, but back to my point, I'm advising my Bakersfield people very different than I'm advising my Pine Mountain
absolutely.
people.
Yep.
So that, I guess that's my point is you're seeing some of these like rock star real estate agents on the platforms you're at. Maybe you follow real estate or for whatever reason, the algorithm keeps pointing you towards that. And they're like, buy, 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 buy. But it's like that person might live in Atlanta and it's still super hot. Or they might live in LA and it's
Or
still super hot.
correct. I follow so many other agents when they're talking to sellers specifically and saying you're getting multiple offers, you're getting
Yeah.
over asking, by
So
$50,000.
I think context in this industry is so important. You can't, I, in I guess in my as a fiduciary responsibility, like I don't look like I have one, but I do have a fiduciary responsibility, and that's to my client, and it really does depend. Like if I go 50 miles in one direction, I'm going to advise them completely different than if they were buying in one city versus another. And I think that's what it boils down to is I can't give you universal advice. I can only give you the advice in the areas that I specifically service because I know those in and out. But if you live somewhere else, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know
And
because I don't
even
live there.
yeah,
Yeah.
and even then we really are only here to give you advice in regards to beginning and ending a transaction. We're not experts
Mhm.
in inspections. We're not experts in appraisals. We're not experts on where the property lines are. We're not surveyors. So there's a lot of things that go into a transaction that that is why you want to work with someone that locally services that
Yeah,
area.
context is super important. I've realized that. So I can't really, we can't, both of us, we can't give you universal real estate advice. If
Right,
you're
we
in the
can't.
PMC area, if you're out of Kern or even some of the northern parts of like LA County, we can tell you whether our opinion is to buy or not. Bakersfield, buy. Yes, you got to be competitive. It's still super hot there.
It is.
Sellers are still getting, for the most part, what they want. PMC, sellers, you guys need to relax. You have to have a good strategy. We've sold every house that we've listed up to this point. We've
Mhm.
sold it.
Mhm.
And it took a lot. It was what we're telling our sellers is it's a contact sport. Like we're having to work every single week. Every other week we're calling and figuring out what we're going to do the following week.
Right.
And it's not like you list it and it sells in a week anymore. Those days are gone. I
Mhm.
don't think they're ever going to come back for a while. So sellers, you need to be strategic. You need to be smart. You need to have an agent that's going to be working week in, week out. If not, it's going to sit for a year. We've seen that. Like there's
Right.
probably how many we'll do a proper market analysis probably in a couple of weeks, but just at a glance of our MLS, there's a ton of expireds. We didn't see that in the
Well,
past.
it's so interesting because so again, we wanted to I know we're chatting a little bit about it, but we'll give you some practicals at the end. So if you want to stick around or want to skip towards the end, but honestly, I think this is a really good chat. Like so, having someone that's local that understands your area is so important.
Context.
We are owners in all the areas that we service. We don't just service because to service, we actually are homeowners ourselves in those areas and know as much as we can and constantly are educating ourselves because things are constantly changing.
Hmm.
And so in Pine Mountain Club, Fraser Park, and any other mountain communities, and we are just in a place where a lot of the sellers right now are 100+ days on the market.
Yeah.
If they're over, if they're even if they're like priced correctly, some of them are still because there was so much competition. Last month we had about 70 properties on the market. Now we only have a little bit under 60. Last time I checked yesterday, I think it was like 56, 58 perhaps,
It's a lot.
which is a lot
Yeah.
still, but I'm just saying, and in the grand scheme of things, there's people deciding to pull their properties off the market because winter's here, but I'm still getting a lot of traction on my properties. I just went in escrow in a property in Pine Mountain Club a couple of days ago. And last week this week. Well, last week because this is airing in pardon my little puppies here. But I think that the one thing we want to do too is we want to remind our sellers that, like I said, because Fraser Park and Pine Mountain Club are a very unique area. You're not, and it's what we call a secondary market. So you're not going to get a ton of traction all the time. And now that the short-term rental ban, which most of you who know, just in Pine Mountain has been enforced now, this new regulation is limiting all these buyers to come. So we're just, again, in the mountain communities, we're seeing a lot of sellers we need them to pivot with us. We need them to partner with us and make sure that they're trusting the expert and making the right decisions for them. Because I'm going to bring you the numbers. I'm going to bring you the data. I can't force you to look at this number and be okay with it. It's just not 2020 and 2021 numbers anymore. It's just not going to be that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I don't like giving vague advice. That's really pinpoint advice I can give. If you're a newcomer to the mountain secondary market, and that's here, that's Big Bear, anybody, those areas are getting hit for the most part because nobody's really looking for vacation homes right now because interest is just hitting everybody for the most part. But I would say if you're thinking of buying a house and then selling it in a year without doing anything to that property, don't even waste your time. Like, don't do it. We're seeing people getting hit. They're buying these houses and they're trying to sell it a year later, a year and a half later.
It's really hard.
And they're surprised when it's like your house isn't as valuable as you thought it was.
There's not enough equity.
So that's clear-cut advice. If you're trying to do that in a secondary market, don't waste your time. That's somebody I can give them a very clear piece of direction is hold off. Unless you're planning on fixing it, flipping it, you might make a little bit of money, but we're seeing flippers taking big hits in the mountain.
Yeah,
so I would say
this one flipper, he's a big flipper too.
Flipper, and it's a little house, but it sucks that he's going to lose money on it.
I know.
So I would say if you're thinking of doing that, you're like, I'm gonna turn it Airbnb and try to flip it. You're wasting your time unless you have a ton of cash backed up. Yeah, that's the only thing I would do.
And it's the ugliest house in the best street, right? That's what we say in real estate all the time. But that's something we need to.
So if you plan on selling a house in secondary, like a PMC or a mountain community, you might live near one where you're thinking of buying, I would just say do a ton of research.
Do a lot of research.
Hold from pulling the trigger.
Talk
a ton
to
of
real
research.
estate agent.
Talk to somebody local. Not us. If we don't live in your mountain community,
call
us. We could refer, but
we have really great partners.
We always try to refer. Yeah.
We have great partners in Idlewild,
Big
Lake
Bear, Arrowhead, Crestline. So we always refer to our partners out there because
Bear Springs.
We get it. Yeah, we get it. And they do the same for us. It's like, hey, somebody wants to shop at PMC. They don't waste their time, even though they know like the Arrowhead community. They're like, I'm not touching that. I don't know the regulations out there. That's red tape I don't want to have to go through. So they just send them to us. So same thing. If you guys have questions about secondary markets, our referral network is deep because we specialize in these types of property. They're hard to move. They can be moved. People are starting to come back to earth. They're having to be realistic because you can't just buy this thing and sell it without doing anything to it when you buy it. So I think people are starting to have that realization, which is, it sucks for some of our clients.
What would you say to sellers then?
Sellers?
It's a great part to go for buyers. Hold off if you're thinking of buying something and selling it right away.
Hold off.
Do your research. Of interest rate. Do your research. Get a real estate agent. What would you say to sellers?
If you got cash for buyers, doesn't matter. Buy a house tomorrow. Doesn't matter. You're buying cash. Interest doesn't affect you. You can get a killer deal with a lot of incentives. So you got cash, buy. Just buy. You're fine. If you're a seller up in secondary markets like PMC, you got to be strategic. You got to be smart. And if you're thinking, I would just say this is my rule of thumb. Whatever price you have in your mind, it's probably 20% less than that. Well, that's what I'm going to say.
Because a lot of that's exactly what buyers are coming in at. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my offers are so low, and I'm thinking, what is going on? But they're at their that's how they're doing it. Yeah. They're saying I'm reducing it by 20. I'm not saying that that's what your house is worth. It's just it needs to make sense for you. But the most important really is having the right agent by your side. Like I said, we are 100% conversion, meaning if you decide to list with us and you decide to work with us, best marketing in the mountain, hands down, will get your house sold. But it needs to really be with the data. Like we're experts, will bring you the numbers. And I never just throw out a number to just
No
throw it
fluff.
or just to appease the
Yeah,
buyer
no
too.
fluff at all.
If the buyer can't afford it, the buyer can't afford it. Buy. We're not going to entertain you. But if it's within that market value and potentially it's a realistic offer or number, then we're going to entertain that number and roll with it. So I would agree with you on all those points.
Yeah, but I'll save some people a consultation. Like if you just want to test the market, I can tell you what the results are. It's like you're not going to get your price.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's the whole thing. Like if you don't have great photos, if you don't have an agent that's constantly doing an open house or working with agents to show the property, and especially because winter is coming, I can't have an open house every weekend. I can't. I may not be able to.
Yeah.
So I just need to get more strategic, and I'm great at follow up. So I have some really great showings, this weekend for other properties. So you just really have to have the right agent by your side.
So so like the practical, you just have to have someone that's working week in, week out,
And
and
then
adjusting
I know we really
dynamically.
gear this towards Pine Mountain, but now that we're also supporting buyers
Bakersfield.
and sellers in Bakersfield, what would you say to them?
So them, it's still fantastic time to buy. I think the edge in specifically Bakersfield, not so much LA, but
Right.
in Bakersfield is new construction.
Oh,
Because
yes.
so the thing is, a lot of these places like a Lennar or DR Horton, they bought their a lot of their rates down in advance. They bought them in bulk, so you guys are able to get those rates really without any cost to you. And they have incentives, like you can get paid for solar systems, you can get a ton of
Closing
incentives. You can
cost.
get like up to $10,000 in
Let me
closing
say
costs.
this, and
that's an edge.
I'm actually going to be putting out a newsletter on Tuesday. So if you want to be part of a newsletter and send us a message,
We'll put it in the link
We'll
below.
put a link
Yeah.
below. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter. I'm going to be doing a video on new construction and why new construction in Bakersfield is incredible opportunity for first time home buyers, and a lot of first time home buyers or buyers in general, or if you want to upgrade your house and new construction right now, people are getting free, people are getting essentially a free solar system. They're going to not be paying for that solar system. They will, but in a different.
It's in the cost of the
It's
house.
in the
as
cost of the
opposed to a
house. It's
separate cost.
included.
Yeah.
So the solar will be included. They will be including closing cost up to, I've been seeing $20,000 worth of closing costs. So
Yeah.
that means they'll be willing to potentially pay down your interest rate.
And then speaking to agents, depending on the seasonality or how close they are to closing their books, some of these builders, they'll give you up to 4% commission.
4% commission, which I mean that's more for agents. So again, we wanted to keep this minisodes a little shorter. I know we kind of chatted a little bit when we started, but if you're interested in Bakersfield as well, that is one of the things we're specializing in, and we're great at supporting buyers with new construction homes. So if you have any questions about new construction homes, let us know. I've been seeing a lot of buyers, instead of locking it at a 7% interest rate because they bought a new construction with certain builders, they're getting opportunities at the 5%.
Wow.
Right. So it's incredible. But even if you are not interested in new construction and you want a bigger lot, the market is still here. I mean, we're about to list a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, a really wonderful property in Bakersfield.
Mhm.
Can't wait to tell people, in a great neighborhood. So again, if you're in the mountains, whether you're looking for a mountain home, we're there for you. Whether you're looking for a city life, we're there for you. And we'll take care of you from A to Z. So we're excited to, I hope you took some really good key takeaways from today. I think the best thing is going to be for you to book a consultation and have a conversation with us. I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
And if you're looking on those areas, and even if you're not, we're happy to connect you to the right person.
Yeah, we'll help you interview agents that are local. A lot of people just want the business. You don't want to work with that. You want to work with the person who knows what they're doing.
Right.
And
who
we can
cares
help
about
people
you?
do that. Yeah. So we can help you find people in those areas. Our network's pretty deep when it comes to these
Mhm.
niche markets and a lot of the bigger cities. But
That's
yeah,
why I love EXP.
yeah, EXP is pretty cool. So it's really mixed. I feel like, is it a good time to buy or sell? It depends on your context. Bakersfield, it's super hot. It's a good time to do either. It's just going to be competitive. And secondary markets like PMC, buyers, if you got cash, or even if you are financing, you plan on refinancing, it's a great time. It's probably the best time.
And sellers
in a while. It's
too, the fact that within a week or two, the competition for my sellers dropped from, a significant amount, that's great for us.
Yeah.
I'm getting so much movement on my properties. I'm gonna have more than one in the next couple of weeks on escrow. So that's gonna happen.
Sounds like it. So they're still moving, but again, it goes back to you have to be very proactive and very strategic and week to week.
There's a lot of things behind the scenes we do.
The worst trap to close this out is listing your house and forgetting about it, because it will sit and it will expire after the 90-day or
you can't just have an agent put a lockbox in
it's not going to happen
that's
up there.
You can't just do that. So
you could last year. It would sell in a weekend by itself, but this year,
and that's why too a lot of agents, speaking to agents real quick before we go, we're gonna see a big wave of agents just leave, drop. So the competition for even agents is gonna be significantly less, and that's actually good for buyers and sellers.
Oh yeah,
because the best of the best is gonna rise.
No fluff, yeah.
Yep, and the rest are gonna dissolve.
Cool. So that was our minisode.
Yep. I hope you guys loved it.
Hopefully it's helpful. And, we'll make more of these that are more kind of fine-tuned and about one topic at a time. But it was a good one.
Yeah.
So until next time, we hope you guys enjoyed Closing and Cuddles.